Hey there, I'm Amy Connell. Welcome to Graced Health, the podcast for women who want simple and grace-filled ways to take care of themselves and enjoy a little chocolate. I'm a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach who wants you to know your eating, movement, and body don't have to be perfect. You just need to be able to do what you're called to do. Okay, I told you 3 weeks ago that the next week, so 2 weeks ago, was going to be this episode. Do you follow that? Probably not. I don't think I explained it very well. Anyway, I had expected to put this in a couple weeks ago and then decided I had 2 more episodes that I really wanted to get out this year or so, or this season. So I hope that you listened last week to the panel that I was a part of at the Hope Inspired event that was eventually aired on the Bible Jazz podcast. And then the week before, the summer favorites. So just something light and fun. And I hope you're checking those out. Today, I wanted to end season 16 with a recap. I have not done this before, and it did not even cross my mind until I was looking at another show. And I'll be honest, I can't remember what it was. And I saw a season recap from them. And I thought, well, that's brilliant. I'm stealing that. I thought it was a good idea because I'm getting new listeners all the time. And if you are new here, I'm so glad that you are. And if you have done nothing else, please join the monthly journal that I have, because that is where I kind of pull everything together. And mostly it's just, I get to pass along things that I'm loving. And I think that you will too. So that's a great place to start if you are new. But also if you are new, we have nearly 280 episodes out right now. So where do you even begin? I thought doing a season 16 recap might be a good way to kind of bundle up some of the episodes throughout the season, which is really just throughout this calendar year of 2023, and briefly explain them. And then the ones that pique your interest, you can go back and listen to. So all of these episodes have aired this season in season 16. So you will hear me referencing an episode number and just in your head, put season 16 in front of that. Because I have 15 other episodes of a number. So, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about season 16. So let's go ahead and dive in. And also, before I get going, if you like this, head over to the Graced Health Facebook group. That's our private group. It's free to join. And let me know if you like it. Was this helpful? Because that will tell me if I should do that in the future, and maybe even go back and do some previous seasons if I feel really energetic about it. So, okay, let's dig in. Now, just so you know, if you are new, I tend to I tend to put my episodes in various categories: physical, mental, and spiritual health. As I have shared on the Statement of Values podcast, I think that was season 12 or season 13. I think it was season 12. Not all of my episodes hit all of my 6 values, but they all hit at least one. And I focus on physical, mental, and spiritual health. So let me start with the physical health episodes that we have had. And some of them, it gets a little fuzzy, and maybe it would hit both of them. So I just tried my best to put these together. I did do we had a couple episodes that were a bit more area specific. And that was episode 3, which was a solo episode. That is, are you integrating enough of this one movement? And that was my plea to you, particularly as women, and particularly if you are getting older, or if you are young. Actually, I'm having some younger women listen to the podcast. Emma C., shout out to you. I know you are listening. You know who you are. This is really important in your age group as well. And that is doing pulls as you strength train. So you can go listen back to that in episode 3. But it is, like I said, it is my plea that you incorporate various forms of pulling into your workouts. That does not mean you have to do pull-ups. If you can't do them, I can't either. Maybe I can do one. So that's the focus of that episode. We also talked about our core, which is of everybody on everybody's radar. And that was episode 29 with Kia Williams. She was also the IDEA Fitness Instructor of the Year, which is a huge, a big deal in the fitness industry. And that episode title was Why a Strong Functional Core is Critical to Aging Women. What I loved about this episode is she brought in all of her research, all of her messaging, and it was the same as what we've talked about, which is you don't have to have a core that looks a certain way. It just needs to be functional. It needs to allow you to do the various things that you're wanting to do. And of course, in my language, that's do what you're called to do. So that if you are interested in strengthening your core, go listen to that episode with Kia. I also had some other celebrity trainers on, Andrea Orbeck, Desi Bartlett, and Nicole Stewart in episode 17 called Create Your Own Holistic Health Plan with Total Body Beautiful. The fun thing about this is, number one, it's the first time I've interviewed 3 people at once. So that was its own little challenge. But what I appreciate about the book that they were talking about, which is also called Total Body Beautiful, is it has a holistic approach. It's not just a singular focus. It is like, okay, let's talk about our emotional health. Let's talk about our physical health. Let's talk about breathing. Let's talk about taking things down a notch. Because if you're like me and you've grown up with this mentality of like faster, 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 harder, 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 more, 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 they are encouraging us to pull that back. So if you are finding that you need a bit more of a holistic approach, go listen to them and check out their book. And of course, Kia Williams has a wonderful book too on functional core strength for women. So they both, in fact, they have the same publisher, and both really great discussions with them. And then of course, books. And then moving into like physical issues. One of them, of an overarching thing, is with Rick Olderman, who is a physical therapist. And in episode 6, we had an episode called Heal Chronic Pain in Your Knees, Back, Hips, and More with Fixing You. So Rick has a program that you can purchase, and off the top of my head, I think it's like $50. It is a relatively low price point for all you get. I actually had a listener reach out and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I purchased this for my hips and I feel so much better. And it's just kind of going through, he guides you through a few gentle movements, a few little tweaks to the way that you are just going about your day in terms of standing, in terms of posture, various things. And I gotta say, she had a lot of really great things to say about it. So if you are dealing with chronic pain in your knees, in your back, in your hips, give this a shot. It might be worth it. It's going to be about the same cost as going to a chiropractor or going on site to a physical therapist. So if you are the kind of person who will own your own progress, then and what I mean by that is be compliant with the stuff, not just buy the program and not do it, which I've done that with various programs as well. This is a great economical option for you. Moving on, I had a 2-part series on hysterectomies. I know not everybody has a hysterectomy on their radar, but I have had a surprising number of friends reach out and say, oh my gosh, I really needed this because this is something that is now on my radar as I'm getting older, as I'm going through menopause, as I'm having some issues that just cannot be resolved any other way. So that was a 2-part. Episode 10 was with Erica Recker, who is a physician's assistant with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This was not a cancer-focused episode, but that is where she works. And that was considering a hysterectomy, types, reasons, risks, and burning questions answered. And again, that's episode 10. And then episode 11 with physical therapist Jessica Vallant took us from like day 0 of when you get a hysterectomy and healing physically. So that's unpacking post-hysterectomy, what you need to know to feel better, which is episode 11. So if hysterectomy is something that is again on your radar, or if you know someone who's getting ready to go through that, pass those episodes along to them, and that might help them in their decision making or in their in their healing journey. And then along the same lines of all things as we age, I had Dr. Doug Lucas on, who's an orthopedic surgeon by training, on episode 21. And we talked all about osteoporosis. So that was worried about osteoporosis, prevent or manage it with these strategies. Dr. Doug brought a lot of wonderful information. Again, it was, some of it, like I said in there, could be a little bit alarming, specifically regarding or in relation to birth control pills. But I think that you can take a lot of what he said, regardless of your thoughts on hormones, if you have used hormones, anything. There's some great, wonderful information that he provided us, and I'm really grateful for his time. Moving into food under our physical health, registered dietitian Natalie Sessions came on in episode 7, which was key factors in using food to help you age well. So Natalie really likes to help women, and particularly women, around our age, my age, if you are around my age, in just feeling well and functioning well and using that. And she does it through a very gentle approach. If you are an intuitive eating follower, is that the right word? I don't even know. But she guides her practice under that, but also with the science and the nutrition background. So she is a wonderful resource if you are needing some assistance or needing someone in your corner with that. And then Becky Bell, who's also a registered dietitian, came on in episode 27 and talked about the impact of stress on hormones and metabolism and how to mitigate that. So if you find yourself stressed out a lot, and if you find that your metabolism is just acting differently than it used to, then this episode might put some of the pieces together for you. Also under the physical umbrella was Dave Paul, who is host of the Walking is Fitness podcast. He came on in episode 8 entitled Create an All-Day Fitness Lifestyle Using Walking. This was a very popular episode from the downloads, and I just loved his approach. I mean, basically, he gets on average about 20,000 steps a day, but also acknowledges that he can do that because of his life stage. He's in his mid-60s. His kids are grown. That's very different than if you are dealing with littles all day, or if you have a lifestyle that does not support that. However, he challenges us and encourages us to think about different ways that we can just get a little movement in throughout our day. That's that all-day fitness lifestyle. So if you enjoy walking, then go listen to that episode, and then go listen to his podcast, which is Walking is Fitness. I have several friends who have commented that they now listen to his show and really enjoy it. He's a great guy. And then finally, under the fitness or the physical health, I did a solo episode in episode 13 called Develop Your Fitness Community, Even If You Don't Go to the Gym. And this is just part of my own journey, I guess, if you want to say, of I love people, I love community, I love connection. And post-COVID, that has changed a bit. So this was my reflection in how I can create community, because I don't go to a gym because I've got equipment at home and I train other people out of my own place. So even if you're not going to a gym, listen to that and maybe take just a few of the little suggestions. Under the mental health category, we had several wonderful conversations. One of them is with Alexis Overstreet, who is a licensed clinical social worker. And that was episode 5, entitled How Exercise, Movement, and Fascia Can Help Manage Stress, Trauma, and Overwhelm. Now, Alexis also utilizes the connective tissue care that Sue Hitzman talked about back at the beginning of season 15 and Sue is the founder of Melt Method, and Alexis will use some of the tools that will help care for our connective tissue. And so she helps us understand how that's related and how caring for our connective tissue can also help our mental health. And what I love is that it is all connected and it's just all the way that God designed us. Also, I had counselor Ruth Opillo in episode 9 on, and that episode was the food, nutrition, and your grace, your mental health needs. Now, Ruth is also an integrative medicine provider, which means that she has had extra schooling on understanding the different foods we can have that will help support our mental health. So if you want to be proactive in terms of what you're putting into your body, which will also feed your brain, this is a very good one to listen to. And as I'm talking about this, I'm thinking Ruth is a friend who lives in my area, and I'm like, ooh, we need to go for another walk. I am due for some Ruth time. I also had 2 solo episodes that were somewhat related. No, not related, but they're both under this mental health category. One of them is that just came out, episode 31, How I Care for My Mental Health. And as I got on the Facebook group, because I realized after I did all that in an episode and it went live, I thought, I did not include any of my faith in this conversation. I don't know why. I think because I was getting really focused in on like very applicable things. So I feel like I kind of dropped the ball on that, if I'm totally honest, but these are just my own personal strategies on how I care for my mental health. Some of them is from the guidance that I have received from the many, many mental health providers that we've had on this episode or on this podcast. And then some of are just things that I have discovered throughout the years that has helped me. And then the final episode we have that's somewhat under mental health. Some of these I'm like, I don't know where I put this, but it was episode 2, also a solo episode, which was 2 practical and 1 somewhat awkward solutions to fighting negative body image thoughts. Let's be honest. Well, I can't speak for you, but I can speak for me, that even though I have been in this path of, and I say all the time, we take care of our bodies so we can do what we're called to do, I still get caught up in, I guess, body image issues. And in fact, I'm bigger, my body is bigger than it was a year or a year and a half ago. And I was just talking with my husband about this like yesterday. I said, really most of the time, actually it was like this weekend, it was like several days ago. And I said, most of the time I'm fine with it. And sometimes I'm not. And that's just part of what I'm just going through. And then yesterday I got dressed and I was frustrated, and I just, without even realizing it, I went, and he goes, "What's wrong?" And I said, "You know how sometimes this bigger body of mine bothers me and sometimes it doesn't?" I said, "Today's one of the days that it does." And he said, "Well, I think you look great." And I won't say the rest of what he said, but anyway, it was very nice. And I said, well, that's, anyway, so I'm still there. I should probably go back and listen to that. Quite honestly, I should go back and listen to my own words of the caring for negative body image thoughts. So that was episode 2. Okay, let's talk about our spiritual health. That's a very important part of it, even when I drop the ball and I don't include that in mental health episodes that I create. That is the foundation of everything I do and the foundation of my day. Yvette Walker came back on in episode 14, and we kind of went back and forth a little bit in a good way and just shared our how we approach our prayer time. Yvette won. I'll just say that. It's not a winning. I know it's not a winning thing. But anyway, this episode was Revive Your Prayer Time with These Approaches. Honestly, I walked away feeling like, okay, these are some new and different ways that I can spend my time with God. and so I loved what she said. And then of course she has a daily devotional that's a companion to her book, Whispering in God's Ear. So you can check that out if you would like to do a study by Yvette. Otherwise, just listen to the episode, and maybe that can be something that can revive your prayer time. Mary DeMuth, who is an author of like at least 30, maybe 40 books, a whole lot of books. And she's also host of the podcast Pray Every Day, came on in episode 11. And it was how to parent your adult kids with joy, even when they aren't joyful. This is another episode that I hear feedback from not only my friends, but also my community or our community, of just how helpful that was. And Mary is a wonderful spiritual leader and just offers us a lot of grace, a lot of ways that we can approach our parenting, even when parenting is not easy. I was just having this conversation with a friend of mine. It is so true when they say little people, little problems, big people, big problems. And I just want to take a minute, and for those of you who are in a tough parenting situation and maybe even think, I can't believe I'm in this with my child in their late high school, early adulthood, college, something like that. If you are going through that, you are not alone. And Mary has some just wonderful, gentle words of wisdom to encourage you in your in parenting, because it's hard. It doesn't get any easier. That is for sure. Finally, under the spiritual umbrella, I replayed the panel discussion I was a part of in episode 30. So that was an event called Hope Inspired, which was put on through University Place Presbyterian Church, UPPC. And that actually was hosted by Mike Moffat, who is one of the pastors there and who is also host of the Bible Jazz podcast. That was a whole lot of information. So anyway, if you're looking for a new podcast, go listen to Bible Jazz. Mike is great. We joked when we first met that we're like, well, we both have radio voices, because he was like, you have a radio voice. I said, well, I was thinking that you do too. So anyway, Bible Jazz, I really enjoy. And the panel discussion I put up there, not necessarily because I want you to hear what I have to say, but because I want you to hear the words of the counselor and of the spiritual director who was there. Both just fabulous things. And again, just something fun and different. And I think you will enjoy it. Now, I do have some other episodes that did not fit under these three umbrellas specifically, so I'll put them out there, and maybe in your head you can say which ones you think it belongs under. I started off the episode, or off the season in episode 1 with giving you some top wellness books for your 2023 reading list. So as this comes out, we are finishing out half the year, and if you are looking for books to read over the summer, specifically wellness books, give this list a shot. Go listen to it and see, to learn. These are all books that I've read, I enjoy, I recommend. That's a great one. And yes, I do have a shameless plug for my book, Your Worthy Body. So if you're looking for some summer reading, go check out Your Worthy Body in addition to these other top wellness books. I had another solo episode in number 19 called 10 Simple Ways to Take Care of Yourself Without Going to the Gym. This was a fun one for me to put together, and it was 10 ways out of, I think I have 35 now, that is going to go into something, and I'm not really sure what, but just like the little things. And this is where this came from. I hear all the time from women, I just want to take care of myself. I've been taking care of my spouse. I've been taking care of my job. I've been taking care of my children, my dog. Dogs are a lot of work sometimes. Like, I just want to take care of myself. And so these are ways, like physical, tangible ways that you can care for your physical or emotional health or nutritional health, and that will support it. So it's not like go get a manicure. It's fine if you want to do that, but that's not what I'm talking about there. I'm talking about like doing things that will help support your sleep. If you listen to my episode on caring for my mental health a couple weeks ago, you know that I like to fiercely protect my sleep, and my children will validate this because I go to bed early and I protect that sleep. But anyway, so that's what that episode was about. So if you're looking for some just very tangible ways of doing that, go check that one out. Then I had a couple fun episodes. One with Catherine Suzette, who is a stylist, in episode 25. We talked about identifying your style and tips and hacks for women over 40. So pretty much my adult life since having kids, I wear gym clothes, and I'm trying to figure out how to dress myself now that I am 48 years old. I would like to look like a grown-up sometimes, and I don't want to always be wearing dry fit. So Catherine was very helpful with that. And if you are looking for some tips and hacks in style and all of that kind of stuff, you can listen to that episode. And then I also had a bonus episode with podcast host and author and educator Crystal Profit. She is the host of the Profit podcast. This episode really became because I have so many people, I shouldn't say so many, but I often will have people reach out to me and say, I want to start a podcast. What should I do? And as much as I would love to help everyone, number one, I'm not the go-to person. I can definitely point you in the right direction. And one of the right directions is Crystal Profit. So if you are interested in starting a podcast, give that episode with Crystal a listen, and you'll fall in love with her too. She's just amazing. The other episodes that I had come out were specifically for our Graced Health Plus subscribers. Now, Graced Health Plus is just that. It's a subscriber-only episode that comes directly in your feed. So if you listen to Apple Podcast, it is in your Apple Podcast feed, and it will have a lock by it. If you are a subscriber, then it will not have a lock by it. But that is for those who support the show and $6 a month, and they get extra episodes. So I'll just kind of share the highlights of those. And if you're interested, you can join that, and you should be able to go back and get all of the subscriber episodes. So the first thing I have put out is audiobook chapters of Your Worthy Body, including the introduction. So I'm just dripping that along, and you can listen to the book without buying it, because you are paying for that in the cost of your subscription. And then also I have released some, what I'm calling Amy Uncut. So those are short, raw, unedited videos that are designed to encourage, motivate you, or just get you thinking in a new way about your holistic health. What's been fun for me is I am pulling people along in my thought process in things that I have been considering, or maybe issues I have been dealing with. And then I translate that into a broader way that is applicable to the listener and to you. So I talked about priming the pump, which is kind of like getting ready for our day. I gave a little confession that, and I'll just tell you here, I have been very stale in my workouts lately, but then I pull that into, well, how can this apply to you? So this is not like Amy's own therapy venting session. This is like, hey, this is an issue. And then what drives my children crazy is I always turn that into a learning lesson. And so I try and put that back so that it's something that you can think about or apply in your own life, because I'm hoping that I have the hard stuff going on, and then I make it easier for you. That's my hope with that. I have another episode called Sometimes It's Not About the Workout, which sometimes it's not about the workout. And then a question about my time. This is the one thing that God kind of gave me this is about my time and about my choices that I have to think about when I am when I'm deciding what I'm going to do with my time and choosing what I'm going to do with it. So these Amy Uncuts and the Your Worthy Body audio chapters will continue through the summer, but they're only available to the Graced Health Plus subscribers. And anyone can join Graced Health Plus. This also helps support the show. So you may be thinking, God, I don't know, that doesn't seem like enough for $6 a month, because we do also Zoom meetups, and then I will send some additional emails that I think are helpful. But if you're like, I don't know, $6 seems a little pricey. The other thing that it's doing is it's helping offset my costs. I have a lot of back-end costs, and your gift of $6 a month helps produce this content. And I'm super grateful to those who have supported the show in this way. And you can just think of it as a gift if you think that I'm not providing enough in return. But my hope is you get a lot of value here on the show, and that's just a small amount of value. If you are willing, that you can offer back to the mission of all things Graced Health. So this episode, season 16 recap, is a wrap. So season 17 is coming, but not until September 12th. I have some big projects I'm working on this summer. And quite honestly, I am trying to practice what I preach. So I am creating some margin to refresh and replenish myself. I shared this on my new monthly newsletter. And by the way, some of you responded to that, and thank you for that. And I'm grateful for your prayers. And by the way, also, if you don't get that monthly newsletter, make sure that you sign up for that, because that is continuing throughout the summer. But I am working on some projects. I'm not just going away, but I am not releasing new episodes here. But stay tuned. I've got just a little bit for you. If you're like, wait a minute, I still want to listen to things, I've got good news for you. I'm also going off of the socials. So by the time this airs, I will have just gone off completely, pretty much, with the exception of the Graced Health Facebook group, the private group. Now, if you'd like to continue listening throughout the summer, I have two options for you. Number one, sign up to receive the weekly emails notifying you of new podcast episodes. So no, there will not be new ones, but you will get on a weekly basis. And this is if you're listening to this real time. I have scrubbed the numbers, and I am sending the most downloaded episodes of 2021, just one per week, until we resume back on September 12th. So this is a great way to catch up or to re-listen to some of the most popular episodes. And again, it's just once a week, and I will include a link, or you can find out which one it is, and then you can go find it in your own podcast player. Secondly, if you'd like a little more throughout the summer, you can sign up for Graced Health Plus and receive the Amy Ann Cut episodes, the Your Worthy Body chapters, and we can all get online live on Zoom and do a meetup. And also, if you are not ready to do a monthly support of $6 a month, but you would like to offer a one-time support, you can leave me a tip. This is just a one-time way of saying thanks for the content. So in the show notes, click on leave a one-time tip in the show notes. I just said that, but click on that and just leave a tip. Now, I got to say that the provider that it's done through ConvertKit, which is my email service provider, these are the things that cost money that nobody really realizes. The default settings are kind of high. Like the lowest one is $5, and I think it goes to 10. It goes up to 50. I'm like, no, don't leave me a $50 tip, please. That's just too much. Just too much. Just a $5 tip is perfect. That is greatly appreciated. So tune in there. So anyway, there is our season 16 recap. Let me know what you think of this. Be sure you're signed up for the monthly newsletter, sign up for Graced Health Plus, and then if you want to, and then get the weekly emails with all of the most downloaded episodes of 2021. I'm not putting those on the socials because I'm not being on the socials for a bit, and I'm not sure when I'm going to come back on. Maybe September 12th. I don't really know. We'll just kind of see. Okay, that is all. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Go out there and have a great day.